Okay, let's read some of the Aeneid. We're going to start right at the get-go in book one and see where this leads. Now, we'll do a little read along. We'll do it in Silver Tongue Latin and English because I'm not going to read the meter and so on and so forth. I'll save that for the prose. I just like the sound of Silver Tongue Latin. So here we go. Arma verumque cano, troie qui primus ab oris, Italium, pato profuges Laviniaque venit, litor multo milen tetres, iactatus et alto vi superum, seve memorum, iunois ob iram, multa quoque abello passas dum condarat erbum, inferetque deos latio, genus unda latium elbinique patres atque alte Moenia Roma. Rome. Musa mihi causas memoria, quo numine leso, quid ve dolens regina, deum tot volvere causas, in signum pitate verum tot adire labores impleret tantene animas celestibus ire urbs antiqua fuit taere tenuere coloni Carthago Italium contra Tiberinanque longe ostia divis opum studisque asperima belle. Okay, let's move over here. It says, Arms and a man I sing, a man from Troy's coast who first came to Italy, driven out by fate, and to Lavinian shores. Much he was tossed about both on land and sea by the power of those above, by the cruel Juno's mindful anger. Much as well he suffered in war, until he would plant a city and bring gods to Latium, from which was the Latin race. In the album Fathers in the Walls of High Rome, Muse, to me recount the causes for what divine power that was inspired, or hurting from what did the queen of the gods drive a man's remarkable impetus to suffer so many turns of chance. To go into so many labors is such great anger in heavenly spirits. There was an ancient city, Tyrian settlers held it, Carthage, opposing Italy from afar, in the Tiber's mouth, rich in wealth, very harsh in the studies of war. I will read down here a little bit so we'll know what's going on. This one city more than all lands Juno held, for to have cared for, with Samos placed after it. Here her weapons, here was her chariot. Already then the goddess aims and hopes that here, if somehow the fates would allow, would be a kingdom for the nations. But an offspring from Trojan blood was being raised, she had heard, which would someday overthrow Tyrian citadels. From here a nation, a king far and wide and proud in war, was going to come for the defeat of Libya. Thus the Parce have sprung, fearing this and holding in mind the old war which she first had waged at Troy for her dear Greeks. And then it goes on, and we'll get to that point later. Quam uno verter terras magnus omnibus unam post habita coluisus coluisi samo, hic ilios arma, hic curus fuit, hoc regnum dea gentibus esse, si qua fata sinant, iam tom tenditque, fovetque, progenium sed ium Troiano et sanguine duci auderat, Tyrius olim quae verteret arcis hint populum late regum beiul quae superbum venturum excidio libie excuse me, sic volvere parcas id metuens veterisque memor Saturnia belli prima quoda Troium pro crausus grearsus argus. And not even then, pardon me, and not even then had the causes of her anger and the great pains departed from her heart. Fixed in her high mind remains the judgment of Paris, and the insult of her rejected beauty, and the envied race, and the honors of the Ganymede caught up in heaven, kindled. For all this, she kept back, tossed on the whole watery plain. The Trojans, who are those left by the Danans and the pitiless Achilles, long from Latium, and for many years they wandered, driven by the fates and around the seas, that being the story of Odysseus, by the by. Of such great weight was the task to plant the Roman nation! Explanation point. Nectum etiam causas irarum sevitque dolorus exsiderant animo manat alta mentre ripostum judicium parides sperteque eniurari forme et genus invisum et rapti Ganymedes oneres his sensa super iactatos e quore toto Troias reliquias Danaum atque emitis Achilli arsebat longe latio multosque per annos, for years, erebant actifatis Maria omnia circum tante molles erat Romanen condere gentium. Okay. Hardly out of sight of the Sicilian land, pardon me, into the deep they were gladly giving the sails and casting salty foam with bronze prows, when Juno, preserving deep in her heart an eternal wound, spoke these things to herself, quote, "Is it for me, beaten, to cease from what's begun, and not to be able to turn away from Italy, the Teucrians' king? Of course I am prevented by the fates. Was Pallas able to burn the fleet of the Argives and drown the men themselves in the open sea because of one man's insult and madness, Ajax, son of Oileus? She herself hurled Jupiter's swift fire from the clouds and scattered the crafts and overturned the sea plain of the winds. As for the man himself, breathing out flames, his chest pierced through, she snatched him up with the whirlwind and impaled him on a sharp crag. Ouch! But I, who possess in as queen of the gods, Jove's sister and wife, with just one people, for so many years I wage war upon war. Would anyone worship the divine power of Juno after this, or will a supplicant place honor on her altars?" Indeed. Vix e conspectu sicule tellures in altum vele dabant leti, et spumas salis are rubant cum juno, arterium servus spectore vulnus hac secum. Quota, mene incepto desistere levictum, nec posse Italia tu crorum avertere regum? Quip pe vetor fatis palasne exurere classem argivum atque ipsos potuit submergere ponto unius obnoxum et furious aesius oliae ipsa Jovis rapidum collata et nubius ignem decisitque ratis ivertitque e quora ventis. Ilum ex pierantem transfixio pectore flammas, terbine corripuit scopulutque infixit actuo, ast ego, que divum in sedo regina Jovisque et soror et coniunx, unacum gente tot agnus, bella goro, et quisquam numum junonis adoret praetera ad supplex adis impotent honorum, turning over such things with herself in her inflamed hearts. And to the storm cloud's homeland, this is a hell hath no fury like a woman scorned aspect. Turning over such things in herself with an inflamed heart into the storm cloud's homeland, a place full of raging south winds, into Aelia, I don't know why I can't pronounce it. Aeolia, the goddess, came here in a vast cavern. King Aeolus suppresses the contending winds and the resounding storms with authority. With bounds in a prison reins them in. Resisting this, with a great rumble they roar around the mountain's confines. Aeolus sits in a high citadel holding his scepter, and he softens his spirits and tempers their anger. If he did not do this, the seas and lands in deep heaven, the rapid winds would surely carry them away and sweep them through the air. Talia flammato secum de corde voluntas, voluntans nimborum in patriam locafeta furentibus austres. Aeolium venet hic vasto rex Aeolus antro luctantes ventos tempestatesque sonoras impero permit ad vinclis et carere frenat illi indignantes magno commure montes circum claustra fremunt celsa sedeteo Aeolus arce spectra tenens molitque animos et temperateras di faciat Maria et terres celumque profundum quipe ferant rapide secum verantque per auras. Okay. But the omnipotent Father hid them in dark caves. Pardon me. But the omnipotent Father hid them in dark caves, fearing this, and imposed on them both mass and mountains high, and gave a king who by a sure treaty would know both to tighten and let the reins go lax when ordered. To him them Juno, as a supplicant, used these words, quote, Aeolus, for to you, the father of the gods and the king of men, granted it to claim the waves and raise them in the wind. A race hateful to me is sailing to Tyrrhenian sea, bringing to Ilium, and its defeated household gods. Strike power into the winds and overturn the sunken stems, or drive them apart and scatter bodies on the deep. There are with me twice 7 nymphs with outstanding bodies, the most beautiful of these being Thyopia. I will join to you a stable marriage and will declare your very own, so that for such merit she may live out all the years with you, and make you a parent with beautiful offsprings. An offer you can't refuse in the Greek, or in this Aeneid. Indeed. Sed pater omnipotens speluncus abdidit atres, hoc metuens molemque in montes in superaltos, imposuit regemque dedet qui fodere certo, et premere et laxas sciret dare, iusus habenas, ad quem tun juno supplex his vocibus usa est, quota eole namque tibi divum pater atque hominum rex et mulcere, dedet fluctus et tolere vento gens inimica mihi Tyrrhenum navigat equor, Ilium in Italiam portans victoresque penates, in cute vom ventis submersaque oberur pupus aut age diversos in disique corpora ponto sunt mihi bes septum praesanti corpe nymphae, quarum quae forma pulcherrimima diopia, connubio iungam stabili propriam quae dicabo, omnibus ut tecum metis po talibus annos exigat per et pulcra feciat te prole parentum. We'll find out what happens. Aeolus, these words in response, or he said these words in response, quote, "Your task, O queen, is to make plain what you desire. For me it is righteous to seize on your commands. Whatever kingdom this is, it is you. You win over to me Jupiter and his scepters. You grant me to recline at the feast of the gods and make me the ruler of both thunderclouds and storms." When these things were spoken, the hollow mountain with inverted spear he struck on its side, and the winds with a column formed. Rush there, a gate is given, and blow in the whirlwind through the lands. They threw themselves on the sea, and churn all up from the deepest seats. All the winds together, the south, the southeast, the African, crowded with gust, roll vast waves towards the shores. These followers, the shouting of men and the creaking of ropes. Suddenly, clouds snatch away both the sky and the day. From the Teucrians' eyes, dark night lies heavy on the deep. Oh boy. Eoris hac contra, he answered her. Tuiso, Regino, O queen, quid optis explorare labor mihi iussa caperesse fact est. Tu mihi cod cumque hoc regni, tu sceptra iovumque consilias, todas ipulis accumbere divium, nimborumque factus tempestatumque potentum, Hac ubi dicta cavum conversa cuspide montum impluit et latus ac venti velut agmine facto qua data porta runtem terras turbine perflant in cubuere mare tormumque sedibus imus una erusque notusque runt creberque proceas Africas et vastos voluntad litora fluctus in sequitur clamorque verum stridorque rudentum eri piont subito nubis celumque diumque tu corum et ex oculis pontur nox incubat atra. And that is where we will stop with the Aeneid. Obstinatos, indeed. Until then,